Welcome. This is Hector Combo on February the 17th for your updates on what's going on with the economy. And I think it's an important update because there's so much euphoria. Generally speaking, people think that the economy is going on the right direction. And there's a really red flag that people should notice and take heed. And this one comes from the Washington Post. A record 7 million Americans are 3 months behind on their car payments, a red flag for the economy. A record 7 million Americans are 90 days or more behind on their auto loan payments, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York reported Tuesday, even more than during the wake of the financial crisis. So, this is an old story from February the 12th. In internet time, it's an old story, and it gets buried with all the coronavirus pandemic and various elements in the news media that are basically confusing people or putting them in a cathartic state. And that's another topic for another podcast. And here's another very concerning statistic: 63% of Americans don't have enough savings to cover a $500 emergency. So, to begin, that's just a really two critical red flags. And then here comes another one where it's from a paywall, so I have to get it through some other means. And it's from the Dow Jones News. Dealerships give car buyers some advice: just stop paying your loan. So instead of when somebody trades in a new car, they want to have some value for their old car, but they haven't even repaid it. And so some of the story follows that, the adventures of these people in North Carolina and other parts of the United States, where they're trying to just buy a new car and they haven't paid off their loan, and the dealers just tell them stop paying it, it's going to get repossessed, and you just get a new one. And that's how this finance economy works. It's not even about someone producing and saving and earning and continuing to grow with their assets, but it's more about get consumption now. So the numbers could be very confusing. And if you want an in-depth analysis, I recommend this article because it talks about the Bureau of Lying Statistics. So essentially everyone in the red team talks about how the job numbers are great and everything is up and the stock market continues to grow and we are all happy and fine and dandy. But in reality, those charts are manipulated and it's about how you interpret the data. And a lot of people don't have a mind for numbers. So it's easy to get really conned into believing the optimistic sentiment of the current market. And so things are getting pretty heated, and I just wanted to update on, keep you posted, because this will personally affect you in a way where you might be working a job and then somehow you're not working anymore and you don't even have savings for that emergency. What will you do? What's going to happen? This is not like fear theater, because it doesn't even rely on, some ominous threat is coming. No, it's mostly a transitional point of wealth, and there's so much over leverage and so much people who have made bad investments and bought things that they didn't even afford. And because they couldn't afford it, the people who the corporations that were just pumping the market and dumping all these things onto the consumer and alluring them to buy it, just like the 2008 crisis, where there was a lot of African Americans who wanted to purchase homes, and the banks and the Federal Reserve, along with the government, made a trick where it made it possible for these individuals to own homes, but because they manufactured such low interest rates to bad credit, people who have bad credit, it's a bomb just waiting to explode. And that's what happened in 2008. Now we're here in 2020 where, the fundamental problem has not been solved, and no politician will be able to solve this, because it's a fundamental issue with the economy that has been really rigged and completely benefits people at the top, the inner coterie of the Federal Reserve, these other banker types. And so that's the thing, just a reminder, the economy is not in a good, it's not a good place. So just be careful, look into different things. You need to eliminate your debt. Don't buy things that you don't even can afford, and forget about consumption. That's the main model that keeps this economy going. It's consumption. And it's going to be totally exhausting to have all these goodies but have no savings and have your car repossessed and just where do you go from here? So the point of it is you need to look into different things that can help your family and your friends. Again, I'm no financial expert, but as you see the previous videos that I talked about, cryptocurrency, it's not necessarily a panacea. There are other things that you could do, but the very least, you need to have some savings in order, if you lose your job or something bad were to happen, you're prepared. And that's the important part. Information prepares you for this very bad recession turn into maybe a depression. Different people with points of views, like Peter Schiff talked about how we don't need to elect a new president. We don't need to elect the socialist Bernie Sanders. We already have the king of debt, the biggest king of debt that there ever was. And before he got into office, he would say that the government statistics were, not reliable. But now that he's in office, oh, they're super reliable. It's super great. Trust me, it's never been this great. And that's just what you have to say to your audience so that they don't panic and lose hope in the next election. And it's all about a pump and dump where you're stirring up all these people to try to make them feel like they're on the right track. But honestly, I don't care about your politics. I only care about your individual prosperity and your family. And if you care about that, you should pay attention to these statistics, because they're not pretty. They're not pretty, and they're going to tell us again and again that everything's fine and dandy, and it isn't. So just making it brief, right to the point, the sources will be below. And let's just read a couple of, paragraphs from here. Joyce Parks was struggling to afford her Kia Soul when she says the dealership where she had bought it pitched her an unconventional idea: stop making the payments. So that right there, the two sentences, basically tells you how up, down, how inverted the values of the market is because of the financial interest rates are so low. Basically, the point is the bankers are control or manage the economy through their accounting, through their, credit lending systems and all that. But to the very rich people who happen to have a great investment in corporations or, are in hedge funds, they get free money. They get very small percent, like a very small interest rate that essentially practically means that they get free money, and then they can just move their money here and there, rent seek, maybe buy a couple of houses, remodel them, and then sell it back to the market. And it's so inflated that so many of these individuals have done it that there's not much more to go around. And so now it's like, oh, don't make your payments, don't worry about it, just get a new car. Just so the accounting books of these dealerships continue to grow. And it's all about accounting, cheating on the accounting books. It's fraud. It's fraud. And so the market will correct, because that's what the natural organic process of the market is. It just corrects, So there must be something happening in general in the ecosystem of the economy. And that is what is happening. There are people in control of the money that are trying to keep the economy stable as much as they can, but in reality they can't, because it's not under their control, and they're running out of ideas. And that's problem. They're running out of ideas, and they're just doing the same and same and same. And while we're enjoying this false prosperity, eventually it's gonna collapse. And it's just important that we're ready for it. Don't be afraid. Just look at the numbers, look at what you can do. And honestly, this is not a call to that the heavens are falling down. It's more like have some savings, look into precious metals, perhaps cryptocurrency, get right with your family, and really look into this information, because the critical opportunity that happens here is that we're in a transitional point where we're really in the information age, and there's so much opportunities that you need to discover on your own. But don't get bent on listening to the politicians, because they're not going to tell you, hey, these are some real meaningful solutions. No, they're going to expedite their candidacy so that they can, go on to the next election and the next office or whatever that they do, So don't focus on the politics. They don't matter anymore. It's all about the markets. The politicians are not in control. The bankers are not in control, and they know it. They're running out of ideas. So that's the main point for today's quick market update. And it's really just a quick couple of headlines that I want you to talk with you about. And I will post them again on the video. And keeping it brief, this is your friend Hector Combo signing off, telling you, reminding you, you got to, follow this, but keep your mind open. All right. So have a nice day.